Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to my channel here in Pattaya in Thailand. Today is the 17th of December, so a week tonight is Christmas Eve, and I thought I'd just give you an update on things here in Pattaya and a few of my thoughts on the way things are going. Currently, we're actually in the cold season here in Pattaya. And when I say the cold season, I think the temperature today has been around the high 20s, low 30s, and in the evening it can drop down to around about a chilly 24 degrees, which I don't suppose is really that chilly if you're living in Europe or UK at the moment. It's quite a pleasant temperature actually. So that's where we are. We're in the chilly season. But here in Thailand, the weather's changed a lot, you know. It's not as sad as it used to be. I don't suppose it really is anywhere in the world at the moment. With the global warming and all the rest of it, we see big changes in everything here. And a lot of the days, we're up in the mid-30s, and it's beautiful and hot and ideal for beach weather, etc. But that's the way life is at the moment, I suppose. But I think the cold season, I saw in the news that they had this week, they had the first morning frosts up in the mountains, up in the Chiang Rai area. And a lot of tourists actually do the journey up there just to catch these morning frosts and see the white on the ground. And it brings back memories of earlier this year when I took the family to Scotland. We were over there in late February, mid-March to April, and my family actually saw the snow as we drove through the Cairngorms in Scotland. We actually stopped the car and got out, and they tasted the snow, and I showed them how to make the snowballs up and how to have snowball fights. And for a little while they really enjoyed it, but it was freezing cold. And of course, I did tell them the tip about if you're in the snow and you're eating snow like that, be careful. Don't eat yellow snow. And many people will know the reason behind that. But for those that don't know, when an animal or a person urinates in the snow, it turns yellow. So you always know where there's been an animal, etc. So that's why you don't touch yellow snow. So here we are, just 1 week before Christmas, as I said before, and my daughter Sandra is getting really excited about what Santa's going to bring her next week. Now I don't really know. I don't know who's pulling who here actually, but she keeps talking about what she would like from Santa, and don't forget that she's a Buddhist in a Buddhist school and a Chinese school, and a lot of Buddha people, and she keeps coming to me and says, "Dad, some of my friends tell me that there is no Santa. Santa died a long time ago." I said, "Well, if he's died a long time ago, he's probably not going to come." But she's still excited about it, but I'm beginning to see that this is probably going to be the last Santa year for Sandra. She'll be 9 this year, coming on 10 next year, and there's no way in the world she's going to be convinced by that. So we'll treat this year as the last one. You know, having a daughter when you're 75 and she's only this age, and it brings a lot of good feeling to me as well. I enjoy seeing her excited, and I enjoy seeing her happy, and it's a wonderful experience at my age to be able to enjoy having my daughter with me and seeing a child growing up. Fantastic. It's something that we rarely do actually in our early years when we get married in our 20s or whatever, and we have a family, but everybody's busy working, trying to survive and buy houses, buy cars, and buy food. And I think just buying food at the moment in many countries is a problem, and it's sad to see actually. But when we're in these age groups in the 20s, 30s, and we're bringing up a family, we don't actually get a chance to study them growing up and get the full benefits of them. Whereas Sandra was born just as I retired, and I've had sort of 9 years, nearly 9 years now, of the enjoyment of having her with me, and that's not even MasterCard can buy the enjoyment that she's given me for these last 9 years, I can assure you. So what about here in Pattaya just now? You know, this is the so-called high season where we're expecting all the tourists, and everything's going to be busy, and people are going to be busy making money, and everything's perfect. And I follow a lot of the YouTube videos that are going around the bars and showing the nightlife, etc., and what's happening in the town. And the best comment I sort of saw recently is one of the YouTubers saying, you know, the town is busy, but the bars are empty. And I understand why, and that we've seen this coming for some time. Oh, hello, what are you doing here? What did you come here for? Huh? She just can't leave me alone when I'm videoing, eh? But I've heard quite a few people talking about this and how quiet the bars are. You know, and it's a very sad thing, because I see during the year many people preparing for the high season, thinking this is a chance to make money, and they're going to do it, and they're spending money on refurbishing bars, building new ones, doing everything to welcome all these tourists, and they're not getting it, are they? They're just not getting it, and they're not getting it in their minds either, what's happening, you know, because you go down the famous walking street, and it's all changed. It's all changed, as I've said in one of my previous videos. It's all India and Russia now down there, and these Indians, India people and the Russians, they're not interested in using all the bars and Soy Bacau, LG Metro, all these big bar areas. They're still very, very quiet. Yes, you do get some bars that are busy and are popular with the expats, etc. And of course, people attract people. So the few bars that do get the expats using them, then they attract other people in, because they go in for the sociability and the being amongst people, and people like it. Oh, I'm going to have to get this bird down. I'm going to have to get you down, aren't I, huh? Go on, go on, go on, go on. So let's just talk about this for a couple of minutes, actually. You know, even going back to pre-pandemic days, and I distinctly remember, because the economies in Europe were struggling for different reasons, I can't remember now, but they were struggling, and the high season here, 2018, 2019, people were saying, why are they dropping off? And they were dropping off. And this was immediately before the pandemic hit us full style. And of course, that shut us down, and nobody thought for a moment that we were going to get 2 years of a ghost townish type existence here in Pattaya. All the people that had managed to survive with their businesses through the time of the pandemic, they were all thinking, great, we're going to get back to where they were before. Well, the way they were before actually was the high season was dropping, and it's never, ever, ever recovered. And we're seeing it big style now. Pattaya has changed immensely. There's still a lot of diehards in the town who have been here for some time, and they still think that it's all going to come back to the way it was before. But I am 100% confident that it's never going to return to the way it was before, to the way back in the 90s when I first came here, in the 2000s, the early 2000s. No. it was a different place altogether, and it was a place where you came and there was cheap partying and everything was brilliant, and the place had a reputation that it lived up to, and it still lives up to this day, about all the girls and the bars and everything. But there's not a customer base that are interested in the same way as it was then. People are changing, and the way that these bars, etc., operate down here has all changed as well. In 2018 and 2019, the high season, really the effective high season where people made money, actually started effectively 2 to 3 weeks maximum before Christmas. Normally around 2 weeks before Christmas, we saw the influx gathering speed as people came to enjoy their festive season here in Thailand. And this carried on to about a week, normally a week after New Year. Then a lot of the people had disappeared back to going back to work and getting back to their own countries and returning to normal. So we had a period of 4 to 5 weeks really then, and this is then, of when people could expect to make reasonable money. And now we're 1 week away from Christmas and it's dead downtown. Well, even if in this coming week there's a big influx and they're coming just for the Christmas and New Year, there's a 2 week period where all these bars, etc., they've spent big money on refurbishment. They're not going to make it back. They're not going to make it back. And the only exception, the only real exception to this is Walking Street, which is I've just said is the completely changed, and in the night time down there is big India time, and the nightclubs, they're supposed to be open to 4 o'clock in the morning. Still, some of them are still kicking it out between 6 and 7 in the morning when the police don't raid them. But they are busy, but they are big money places. Walking Street is the place that the Russians and the India people, India tourists, that's the place that they're going at night, and these clubs are open till 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. Although they're officially closed at 4, they stay open much later. But these places are expensive, and they're not the places where the cheap Charlies. The majority of the people that come don't want to go down there. It's too expensive down there. You don't buy glasses of whiskey, you buy bottles of whiskey, this sort of thing. But the city itself, the city is busy. The hotels are doing a good trade. Because of all these India and Russia people here, they're doing a good trade. A lot of these condos are out for rent. A lot of them are rented by holidaymakers from India, China, and Russia. So the city is doing actually quite well, and they're putting on a lot of good events. A couple of weeks ago we had the firework festival, and then the weekend just gone, we had a big jazz thing on, led by some big names, and it's been very popular. So the weekends fill up very quickly with local Thai tourists as well from all over the country coming in to enjoy what's going on in Pattaya. It's very popular. Of course, I do have to mention Soi 6, don't I? Because that's probably either the most famous street or the second most famous street, competing with Walking Street. Soi 6 is used to be and is the sex center of Pattaya Central, and down there there's 30, 40 bars, hundreds and hundreds of girls, and the street is famous for the display down there every night, and it attracts a lot of people. Now when you walk down there, you see that the bars are there, and the girls are there in huge numbers out in the street trying to get people into their bars, etc. I'm often dubious about whether they're actually getting a lot of customers into the bars, because I see a lot of foreign people walking up and down, Indians, Koreans, Chinese, just taking in the ambience of the street and getting a view of what's going on and enjoying it actually. But actually bums on seats in bars, you don't see a lot of. But the bars still seem to carry on regardless of whether they've got customers or not, which makes me think, oh, what exactly goes on in here? So in general, let's just recap on the bar situation, the beer bar situation. Yes, there's a lot of people, a lot of the investors have invested in the bars, etc. They've lost their money, you know, and as they're going to be losing their money, there's a lot of bars up for sale already trying to transfer the contracts to unsuspecting people, and I don't really have any sympathy for them, because for years we've known that beer bars are not good investments in general, and a little bit of research before you invest in something like that. If they'd just done a little bit of research, they would have known that the chances of their business being successful is very, very minimal. So I've got no sympathy for these guys that have made that investment. But it seems like, you know, every year we get these guys that come here, maybe the first or second time, and they've fallen in love with a girl, and they're wanting to stay here in Pattaya, but they don't really have the finances to be able to stay here. They may have some money saved away that they can invest in a business and maybe give them a second income, and of course that would be ideal for them. So they're getting here on holiday and they're walking around with their girlfriends and they're having a wonderful time, and they're seeing the odd bar here and there up for sale, and they're thinking that would be a good bar. And then of course they would start making inquiries. I think maybe I could do that bar. And they'll go in and they'll talk to the people and they'll be told, oh, it's a wonderful bar, it does good business, but unfortunately the current owner is not keeping so good and is having to go back to Europe, and he needs to sell the bar. But it's a good investment, and you'll do well in there. Sounds good, doesn't it? It'd be a story like that, or a similar story, to attract them into buying the beer, to buying the beer bar. And they fall for it, they do for it. So they'll get all the savings out and they'll hand it over to buy this bar. And as soon as they've handed it over and signed all the papers, their problems start. The customers are not coming in, they can't get the girls to come and work, and it's an absolute tragedy of what's going to happen to them. But they've made their bed, so they're going to have to sleep in it, and a lot of people go totally bust. Let me just talk about girls, actually. That's what a lot of people, the majority of guys anyway, are coming to Pattaya for the girls. Girls and partying were a wonderful combination together, and that's what a lot of the guys are coming from. So girls are a very important part of the town's makeup. Before COVID, you know, the girls used to work under 1 month contracts, and I remember the wages quite clearly. Actually, if they found a bar and they got a job, they would get paid. They'd get paid a monthly wage. It'd be something like a lot of the bars I know paid 2,500 baht, 3,000 baht, up to 5,000 baht, depending upon the type of bar it was and how good the girl was at working the bar. Of course, the go-go bars where the girls were expected to strip off and dance along the raised platforms amongst the customers, they got paid. They got a better salary altogether, monthly salary, 10 to 15,000 baht, maybe even higher if they were really, really special. But these were the young, beautiful girls that were getting the jobs work in the go-go bars, and it was good. But that's all changed. Since COVID, that's all changed. A lot of the girls never came back to Pattaya. They learned to do things like OnlyFans and things like that. And, you know, strangely enough, it was some of the bars in Soy 6 and Soy 7 here in Pattaya were teaching the girls that although the bars weren't allowed to open, they were setting up their camera rigs upstairs in the bars, and they were going out to YouTube, etc., and getting guys to commit to sending money to the girls and having the girls dancing in front of the camera or whatever else. But that's the way they done it. But then a lot of the girls thought, hang on, I'm doing all this dancing and making money, and these guys are doing well, and all they've got is a camera and a tripod, and I could do this myself. And that's what they've done. Or 2 or 3 of the girls would get together and they'd start doing it themselves. And the boys taught the girls how to do it, and the girls thought, cut the boys out. Who can blame them for that, you know? So now, as I said, the girls are now on, the majority of places are on 10-day contracts. And that works particularly well for the girls, because it's the girls that the bars are needing. They're needing good girls to be able to make money. And if they don't have good girls in their bars, they're not going to attract the guys in there. The 10-day contract, it works 2 ways, of course, but in 10 days, if the bar's not making money and there's not getting the guys in, and the girls are not happy, then they can move on to another bar. And the good-looking ones that can work bars well and get the customers talking and involved, they can make a lot of money. A lot of girls who are maybe outside the age range, etc., or find it better, are working freelancing, where they work for themselves. They might be down on the beach, or they might have arrangements with various bars where they please themselves if they go into work or not, etc. But if they go into work and they attract a guy, and the guy starts buying them drinks, then they will get lady drink prices, and the bar will give the freelancers a commission. Also, some of them, I believe, if the guy says to the girl, come on, I'll take you back to my hotel or whatever, and you've got the girl will say, yeah, but you've got to pay a bar fine first, and she'll get commission from the bar fine, and the bar will make some money from the bar fine. So everybody's happy, and that works very well, and that's a very popular way that they're doing this in Pattaya at the moment, in the bar arrangement. But there's still, the bottom line is there's still not enough customers to make the bars busy. So it's a catch-22 situation that they're living in here at the moment in Pattaya, as far as beer bars are concerned. Now, just before I wind this video up, you know, there's one last bit I'd like to talk about briefly. And I'd be interested in your comments on this as well, by the way. I've been associated with Pattaya now for 30 years. And I'm very comfortable here. I don't have a lot of money coming in. I got my state pension and my savings actually. So that's what I got. But I'm comfortable, and I've got a family here, and I can afford to do it. Luckily, I'm very, very lucky. And the reason I can afford to do it so well is I probably invested in my retirement unknowingly, I think, and almost accidentally. Over the years, I've sort of built up my knowledge of Pattaya, and I've ended up, when I was still working, buying property, etc. here, when I could easily afford it. And I've ended up in this situation, which is great. I'm having a wonderful life with a wonderful family in a wonderful country. Super. And there's a lot of people, I think, out there that would like to do something similar to what I'm doing. But things have changed. And if you've not made the allowances before and got sufficient funds, then it can be very, very difficult to be able to afford to do it. I see many, many people come here and try to settle down, and they can't afford it. And so many people really, really go bust. They think they've got enough. They watch all these videos about you can live for $1,000 or £500, stupid figures on YouTube, but given by different people on budgets. Be realistic. Be realistic. You might get away with it, but are you going to be living an enjoyable life? Are you going to be living a comfortable life? Are you going to have sufficient reserves for emergencies, etc.? Because emergencies happen all the time and things change, and you buy yourself a motorbike, you have to buy a new tire for an occasion. Expenses, they're never consistent. You can say, I need this much for my rent, I need this much for electricity, I need this much for the water. But things happen as it happens everywhere. And things will happen. You might need to go for a medical checkup, you might need to go to the dentist. And then all of a sudden, your monthly your monthly budget is under pressure and can't hold it. So you need to have reserves. I see, and it's so sad, I see and I hear so many stories every week, about people who have crashed and burned here in Thailand and in Pattaya because they've run out of money. And they're in serious trouble. They get into trouble with the government, they get into trouble with the visas, they overstay, they lose their accommodation, and it becomes an impossible situation for them. And I beg you, and we're coming up to Christmas. It's so easy to start thinking about and planning a lovely retirement here in Pattaya. But it's not as easy as you think it is. And if you've got any doubts about whether or not you can afford to do it, err on the right side. Do your homework. Really do your homework. And think about what you need now, what you're going to need to live, what might happen, how you can handle that. There's lots of considerations. If you've got a big fat pension and support maybe 2 or 3 pensions, and you've got a good income and you can afford the health insurance and everything like that, super, absolutely super. Get yourself out here and get settled down. If you're struggling in the UK or wherever you are, in Europe or America or wherever, if you're struggling and you think that moving here is going to ease off on your finances, you could be wrong. Check on it first. So that's today's video. Thank you for watching, and I would be very happy if you give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't done already, then please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and it would help me going along. I don't ask for any coffees or any PayPals or anything like that, but it would just help me if you can subscribe, and that would do. Okay, let's carry on getting ready for Christmas and enjoy your time. Comments below, please. Take care. Bye for now.